I'm meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner here with meteorologist Mike Maze, and we're here to talk about one of my very all-time favorite events, which was the big snow, January 24th and 25th of 2000, which was a really long time ago. And if you're a big snow fan, even if you're not, even if you're watching us and saying, oh, I remember that, it was terrible, we still want you to like and subscribe.
Or if you're new to North Carolina, you're new to the Triangle area, you missed out on a huge event back in 2000. Now, I'm part of Brian Trader's Anti-Snow League. I grew up in Miami, never saw snow till I was 21 years old, didn't know what to expect, and this was really an eye-opening event.
It was something that we'd never seen before and we've never seen since. And you and I were talking about, I mean, will we ever see another snowfall that's 20.3 inches? I remember vividly how it all unfolded. I was working weekends at the time, and on Sunday, I had reluctantly put snow in the forecast. It looked like, you know, we would potentially have that setup. And the setup for snow here in our viewing area is cold air in place, and then a system from the Gulf or from the Atlantic coming in on top of it. It has to be cold enough then to change it all over. And, you know, it just was fairly slow. It hadn't really evolved yet on Sunday. And then I was off on Monday and Tuesday because I worked weekends, and it started to rain on Monday evening, and then all of a sudden it changed over to snow. So I called in because, you know, at that point we didn't have all the camera network that we have now. We didn't have as good an observation network. So I called in and I said, guess what? It changed over to snow. And the meteorologist who was here said, I'm still excited. It still makes me so excited. The meteorologist said, the models are printing out 2 inches of liquid.
Yeah. And if it was all snow, which it started off as a little bit of rain, then it switched over to sleet, and as the atmosphere cooled, it came down as big snowflakes.
Yeah, and piled up.
Yeah, and when I was working, and that was 25 years ago, so the memory's kind of vague, I worked your shift at the time. So I did the morning show, I did the noon show, I left at 1 o'clock, and when I left at 1 o'clock, I think our forecast was 2 to 4 inches. Didn't think it was a big deal. The models were picking up on that low in the Gulf, and it was going to head in our direction, and the setup looked like it would just be pretty much snow. It would be kind of a typical event. I went to the Velvet Cloak Inn off of Hillsborough Street, which is no longer there. They put us up there because they knew that if it had snowed, it would be hard for me to drive in from Apex. So as a preemptive strike, they put us up in the hotel. So I went to bed around 6 o'clock in the evening, and it was cloudy and it was rainy, and I had watched our newscast, and still the forecast was not a whole lot of snow. So I went to bed thinking, okay, I'll get up, no problem getting to work. I slept through the entire event, or at least through about 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. And then when I looked out the window and saw the snow on the ground, I'm like, what the heck? And it was still coming down. So basically we played catch up the whole time because the forecast kept evolving and changing through the evening.
Well, when the models finally showed 2 inches of precipitation, we laughed because it's a 1 to 10 ratio. So that meant 20 inches. Well, we'd never seen 20 inches fall at RDU. The heaviest snowfall we'd ever seen, and I think it maybe was over a 2-day period like this was 17 inches. And
back in the 20s.
Beyond that, you know, we would see, 6 inches to a foot occasionally because that was a whole different time than it is now. But it was, as forecasters, you're just hard pressed to forecast something that's never ever happened before. And if you're looking at models, you're always looking at them. As a matter of fact, as good as the models are right now, all winter long, the American model will print out 10 days out, 6 inches of snow for us,
even
8 inches
more than
of
that
snow.
sometimes.
And we call them fantasy snowstorms.
Yeah. And then these days, you have the internet meteorologists who will take a model that's 2 weeks out and put it on, oh my God, a big snow is coming. And that's irresponsible. We wouldn't do something like that because we know, we have the education and experience to know that things are going to change. And even with an event that will come up a few days from now, until that storm actually develops, the models really don't have anything to initialize on. So they're just kind of like, it's like a crapshoot, so to speak. And they just spit out anomalies and what they think may happen. But until something really develops, then the models will have a better idea of picking up on it.
Well, the models work like this. So they take all the information about what's happening with weather right now here and around the globe. put it into a physics equation that describes the atmosphere. So every day that you go away from today, any errors that might have happened, if there's some bad data or anything happens to the information that's going into it, the error just grows. And we see that in the winter. We see it in the summer too.
Right.
We get fantasy hurricanes, we get fantasy snowstorms. And so once we get to 5 or 6 days out, we begin to have more confidence in the models. But even then, especially a snowstorm, there's so much detail, so many things that have to come together for a snowstorm here that it can have you pulling your hair out.
And what's interesting back then, you look at the models the way they were now and you look at it today, it's almost like going from black and white analog TV to high definition color TV. There's such a huge difference in the way the models are. We had the European back then, we had the American model or the GFS, but the resolution was much different than it is now. It's like 60 to 100 kilometers, or now it's like 9 to 13. So the models can see better, whereas back in the day, they really couldn't see thunderstorms all that well, and they had a hard time with terrain. Well, what the models didn't pick up on with the storm back in 2000 was there were thunderstorms that were developing in the Gulf. The models didn't pick up on that at all. And this is where human experience comes in, because experience really plays a key role in this. You can recognize, okay, there are thunderstorms happening, the models aren't picking up on this, there is probably going to be a lot of heavy precipitation. And at one point, the snowfall rates were 4 inches per hour in the storm. It was ridiculous.
Did we have any thunder snow? Do you remember?
I don't rember. I didn't hear it.
I don't remember.
I don't think we did. But when you have convective type activity, you would expect lightning. But I don't really think that we would be caught off guard with today, because we have the HER model, the high resolution rapid refresh. We have many more high resolution models that can really get close in, like 3 kilometers, and they can really see what's going on, have a better understanding. And again, experience plays a key role. And back in the day, we never thought that what happened could happen, because when you don't see it, you haven't seen it before, you can't fathom it happening. Like with Helene, you can't imagine having that much rain and what that much rain would do. And now that it's happened, we know what that amount of rainfall precipitation could do.
Yeah, and our job is to let people know here's what's coming, so that you can prepare, so that you can stay safe, or protect your property, that sort of thing. And it's not just us. We're looking at a forecast like that, and the model said 20 inches of snow. We're like, that's never happened. That's not going to happen.
Right, it's hard to fathom.
Right, and we're looking at 15 or 20 inches in the mountains of rain in the mountains of North Carolina for Helene. And even if we felt confident in that forecast, nobody really knew what that was going to do to the mountains. And getting that message to people, for them to understand, that sort of flooding has never happened in the mountains of North Carolina. To try to get people out of there would have been really difficult, because they've never seen it before.
Right. So we also have new AI models coming out. So they take historical data and plug it in and come out with an outcome. So I'm wondering if with AI, now that Helene's happened, that's an event that's now history that it could use to forecast future events. And same thing with snows. I wonder if AI will do a better job at forecasting those kind of events, maybe.
Well, the National Hurricane Center used AI in at least one of its hurricane models, and it performed a little bit better than the traditional models. So it's going to be exciting going forward. It always is. There are always changes in the technology with meteorology, so it's going to be exciting going forward. Before we let everybody go, you have to tell the story about your sledding.
Okay, so I wanted to talk more about the fun aspects, because you were like a little kid. You and your husband were just sledding all over the place. So I was stuck at the Velvet Cloak Inn Hotel for 3 days, could not get to the house. So when I got home, after 3 days, there was still a ton of snow in my neighborhood in Apex. And when I got home, the kids down the street in the cul-de-sac were sledding, and their mom insisted that I come over to sled. I have never sled before. And
I can't believe you'd never sledded
I grew
before,
up in Miami,
Maze.
never seen snow.
Oh,
I saw
goodness.
snow when I was 21 years old, my first job in Illinois. And of course we had snow prior to 2000, but nothing to the extent that we had. So I sledded. I'm like, my God, this is so much fun.
And then you did it over and over.
Yeah, but I haven't sled since.
That's what I'm saying.
Because what? We don't have the snow to really do it, right? Or I'm stuck at work forecasting, which is no problem, but I just don't get to experience it.
Mike, we're going to take a field trip to the mountains.
Yeah. Well, now that I have a mountain place, I have no excuse. I can go to
That's right,
Hawks
you
Nest and do tubing.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, we want to see video.
You got it.
All right, thanks, Snow, y'all. See you later.
All right.